Let's now go through the step-by-step process for setting up a display shopping feed campaign. And in this example, I'm going to be setting this up as a remarketing campaign. And this is a great strategy that I do like to use if we've got some successful Performance Max or shopping campaigns, and then we want to come back and remarket some audiences, say for example, website visitors or cart abandoners. So remarketing people who have been to our shop or been to our site but haven't yet converted. The way that you can check this, if you want to use it like this, you do need to make sure that you've got audiences of over 1,000 users, and you go into your Google Ads account, Tools, Audience Manager, and then when you're in your Audience Manager, you'll be able to see some different audience sizes, and you just want to make sure that this display size is above 1,000. The main thing you want to be checking in through here as well is that you do have some images that are ready to go. This will mainly be using product images, but you can also add in some lifestyle images. And then you also want to make sure that you've got your shopping feed connected into your Google Ads account. So when you're in your Google Ads account, what you want to be doing is go into new campaign, or you can also go into this create button in here, but we'll go up through here. We want to be selecting sales because obviously later down the track, we may want to use some Target ROAS goals. And what we'll also do is we'll remove any other conversion action apart from purchases. If you're not in the e-commerce space and you want to do a remarketing campaign, you can just include those other conversion actions. Then we go through and click continue, and we want to be choosing a display campaign. Now it will request you to add in the website, which we've done through here, and go through and click continue. Now I'm going to call this a remarketing feed and then display. Now, the reason why I called it that, remember, when it comes to the campaign name, it doesn't really matter what that name is because no one will be seeing it. But the reason for why I like to have a good naming convention is so that we know exactly what this is about. So when we're going through and doing our Google Ads reviews, we can quickly look at the campaign name and know what we're talking about. And here we know that we're remarketing. It's a feed campaign using the display network. So we go through and click continue. Now, because this one is a business that only sells in the United States, we're just going to target it to the United States. Where you do need to go is you need to go into this more settings section. And when you're in the more settings section, you need to make sure that you add in your data feed. So what you want to do, more settings, it'll be under dynamic ads, go to data feed, and we want to use the dynamic feed. And then when you select that option, it will bring in your connected feeds. And because we've already got our merchant center connected, we can see it through there. You can add some filters if you only want this for specific products, but because of the way that the dynamic feed works, it's going to be picking up products that the user was more interested in. So I'm happy to have no filter in there. And then from there, we just need to go through and start with our budget. So we're going to set this at $20 a day. And with this one, we are not going to start with a target cost per conversion. We are going to keep it focused on conversions, but we're not going to be setting a target CPA to start with. But actually, sorry, I will also convert this over to maximize conversion value. And that's because we're working at this in the e-commerce space. Then go through and click next. And this is where you need to add your targeting. Now, remember, we are doing this as a remarketing campaign, so we only wanted to go to some very specific audiences. So we're going to add in our targeting. We're going to go to our audience segments. And then from here, I want you to go into your data segments, which is how they've interacted with your business. And as I said, we're going to be targeting the all users, product viewers, and shopping cart abandoners. Now, because we want this to be a remarketing campaign, we're not going to add in any of these other ones. The other thing I would say is you may want to also turn off the optimized targeting, because if you're wanting to use it as a clear remarketing campaign, if you have on the optimized targeting, it will add it out to different audiences. Now, I don't have a problem with optimized targeting, but in this case, because we're doing it as a remarketing campaign and we wanted to go to some specific audiences, that's why we've turned off the optimized targeting. And then from there, we go through to next. And this is where we do need to add in an ad. Now, remember from here in terms of the URL, because this is a dynamic feed, it will use the product images and the product placements, but it still does have a specific URL just in case people click on the general ad. So if you do want to change that, you can, but you do need to add in the business name, and then you need to add in some images. Now, what we'll just do initially is we'll just add in some of these images that we've got in from here, remembering it's going to be picking up our product images. But if there are any specific images that you would like to use, that you can add them in here, and then later down the track, you can add in some different images. We've just added a selection. You also do need to add in your logo, and then also add in some different headlines and long descriptions. We can add these in and update these later, but I just wanted to show you what we've got in there so far so we can create this campaign. Then you create the ad, then go through to next. And then when you get the approval, you can go through and press publish campaign.